Dogadish, Lukmini Dogadish, Lukmini Dogadish, Lukmini Dogadish. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Panamahamsa Parirachakcharya Ashtodada Satta Shri Srima His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shira Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Panamahamsa Parirachakcharya, Ashtodada Satta Shri Srima, His Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasade Gola Bhakta Vinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna, Go Gobinan Shama Kun Radha Kun, Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagnapuri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Chamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vinda Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Transcendental Prasada Distribution Ki Jai. Harirama Sankirtan Ki Jai. ISKCON Youth Vagadam Ki Jai. Nitai Gold of Permanenti Hari Hari Haribo. All glories to the Sambodhi devotees. All glories to the Sambodhi devotees. All glories to the Sambodhi devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guru. Namo Vishnu Daya Krishna Prastaya Smadi Tamo Vishnu Sam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devin Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Uditrayet Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 13, text number 41. Narada Uvacha Ma Kanchana Shucho Rajam Yat Ishvara Vasham Jagat Loka Sapala Yasyame Vahanti Barin Ishitu Sa Samyu Makti Samyu Nakti Bhutani Sa Eva Viyuknakti Cha Narada Uvacha Makanchana Shucho Rajam Yadishvara Visham Jagat Loka sapala yashime Vahanti Bharin Ishitu Sasamyunakti Bhutani Saeva Viyunakti Cha Narada Uvacha Makanchana Shucho Rajam Yadishvara Vasham Jaga Lokasapala Yashyame Vahanti Bharin Ishutu Sasamyunati Bhutani Saeva Viyunakti Cha Narada Uvacha Makanchana Shucho Rajam Yadishvara Vasham Jagat Lokasapala Yasyame Vahanti Bharin Ishitu Sasamyunakti Bhutani Saeva Viyunakti Cha Makanchana Shucho Rajam Vacha Makanchana Shucho Rajam Yadishvara Vasham Jagat Lokasamana Yasyeme Vahanti Bharin Ishuhu Sasamyum Adni Lutani Saeva Viyunakti Cha Narada Uvacha Makanchana Shucho Rajam Yadishvara Vasham Jagat Lokasampala Yashyeme Mahanti Bharin Ishutu Sasamyunakti Bhutani Saeva Viyunakti Cha Narada Uvacha Nakanchana Suknochana Yadishvara Vasham Jaga Lokasampala Yashyeme Vahanti Bharin Ishutu Sasamyunakti Bhutani Saeva Viyunakti Cha Mataji Makanchana Shucho Rajam Yadishvaram Vasham Jagam Lokasampala Yasyeme Vahanti Bharin Ishutu Sasamyunakti Bhutani Saeva Viyunakti Cha Narada Uvacha Narada said Ma never Kanchana by all means Shuchaha do you lament Rajam O king Yat because Ishvara Vasham under the control of the Supreme Lord Jagat, world. Lokaha, all living beings. Sapala, including their leaders. Yasya, whose. Ime, all this. Bahanti, do bear. Banin, means of worship. Ishitu, for being protected. Saha, he. Samyuknakti, gets together. Bhutani, all living beings. Saha, he. Eva, also. Viyuknakti, disperses. Cha, and. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Sri Narada said, O pious king, do not lament for anyone, for everyone is under the control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, all living beings and their leaders carry on worship to be well protected. It is He only who brings them together and disperses them. Purport. Every living being, either in this material world or in the spiritual world, is under the control of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. Beginning from Brahmaji, the leader of this universe, down to the insignificant ant, all are abiding by the order of the Supreme Lord. Thus, the constitutional position of the living being is subordination under the control of the Lord. The foolish living being, especially man, artificially rebels against the law of the Supreme, and thus becomes chastised as an asura or lawbreaker. A living being is placed in a particular position by the order of the Supreme Lord, and he is again shifted from that place by the order of the Supreme Lord or his authorized agents. Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Maharaj Yudhisthira, or in modern history, Napoleon, Akbar, Alexander, Gandhi, Subhash, and Nehru, all are servants of the Lord, and they are placed in and removed from their respective positions by the supreme will of the Lord. None of them is independent. Even though such men or leaders rebel so as not to recognize the supremacy of the Lord, they are put under still more rigorous laws of the material world by different miseries. Only the foolish man, therefore, says that there is no God. Maharaj Yudhisthira was being convinced of this naked truth because he was greatly overwhelmed by the sudden departure of his old uncles and aunt. Maharaj Dhritarashtra was placed in that position according to his past deeds. And he had already suffered or enjoyed in the benefits accrued to him in the past. But due to his good luck, somehow or other, he had a good younger brother, Vidu, and by his instruction, he left to achieve salvation by closing all accounts in the material world. Ordinarily, one cannot change the cause of one's due happiness or distress by plan. Everyone has to accept them as they come under the subtle arrangement of kala, or invincible time. There is no use trying to counteract them. The best thing is, therefore, that one should endeavor to achieve salvation, and this prerogative is given only to man because of his developed condition of mental activities and intelligence. Only for man are there different verdict instructions for attainment of salvation during the human form of existence. One who misuses this opportunity of advanced intelligence is verily condemned and put into different types of miseries, either in this present life or in the future. That is the way the Supreme controls everyone. Om Jnana Timinandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Umilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Budare Srimade Tamao Krishna Goswami Dinamini. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Budare Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swami Dinamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Golovani Prachanine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Praschati Shatani. Translation again. Sri Narada said, O pious king, do not lament for anyone, for everyone is under the control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, all living beings and their leaders carry on worship to be well protected. It is He only who brings them together and disperses them. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he is talking about that every living, there are actually very, very important point in Prabhupada's purport. Prabhupada, he was saying that every living being, either in this material world or in the spiritual world, is under the control of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the introduction, Srila Prabhupada, he said that the Sanskrit word of the controller is actually the Ishvara. It is said here, there is Ishvara, which means the controller. And besides the Ishvara, we know that the Bhagavad Gita talks about 5 objects. And Prabhupada, he was explaining these 5 items. The first is the Ishvara, which means the controller. And then there are the jivas, the living entity, which are controlled. And then Prabhupada, he said that if a living entity says that he is not controlled, but that he is free, then he is insane. Yeah. The living being is controlled in every respect, at least in his conditioned life. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the subject matter deals with the Ishvara, the supreme controller, the jivas, that means the controlled living entities. It also talks about prakriti, material nature, time, kala, the duration of existence of the whole universe, or the manifestation of material nature. And then the last item is karma, activities. So, and then Prabhupada, he was explaining that out of the 5 basic subject matter in the Bhagavad Gita, it is established that the Supreme Godhead, or Krishna, or Brahman, or the Supreme Controller, or Paramatma, you may use whatever name you like, is the greatest of all. So Krishna is the greatest of all. Of course, you know, in the human history, there are so many, you know, great personalities. Like Srila Prabhupada, he has mentioned several names here. like Napoleon, Akbar, Alexander, Gandhi, Nehru, etc. And in the scripture, it is also mentioning that there are many great personalities like Hiranyakasipu. He was so great and powerful that he even conquered the whole universe. But from the explanation of Prabhu, we understand that even great personality like Hiranyakasipu, he is not the greatest of all. It is actually Krishna is the greatest of all. Because at the end, he was killed by Lord Krishna in the form of Nishingade. Yeah. So therefore, even great personalities like Hiranyakasipu is not the, absolute controller. So what to speak of those great people in our human history? The living beings are in quality like the supreme controller. For instance, the Lord has control over the universal affairs of material existence. As will be explained in the later chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, material nature is not independent. She is acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord. As Lord Krishna says, Maya Dakshina Prakriti Suyatesha Chananchana. This material nature is working under my direction. When we see wonderful things happening in the cosmic nature, we should know that behind this cosmic manifestation, there is a controller. So we can see that every day the sun is rising at a certain time and setting at a certain time. There are 4 seasons in a year, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And they are rotating. So we should understand that behind this natural phenomenon, there must be someone who is controlling, setting up everything. Just like, when you see a beautiful painting, you will realize there must be someone who is painting the paintings. So similarly, when you see beautiful sun setting or sun rising, we could immediately understand there must be someone who is doing this, who is, controlling this. But unfortunately, people, they can't realize, most people, they can't realize. They just think, oh, it is natural. It is natural thing. They can't realize actually behind all the wonderful things in the cosmic manifestation, there is a hand, there is an intelligence behind it. Right? So therefore, Prabhu, he was saying here, when we see wonderful things happening in the cosmic nature, we should know that behind this cosmic manifestation, there is a controller. Nothing could be manifested without being controlled. Actually, it reminds me, in another place in the Gita, it is said that not even a blade of grass can move without the sanction, without the agreement of Lord Krishna. So that means actually everything is controlled by Krishna. It is childish not to consider the controller. For instance, and then Prabhu he gave a nice example. Prabhu he said, for instance, a child may think that an automobile is quite wonderful to be able to run without a horse or other animal pulling it. But a seaman knows the nature of the automobile's engineering arrangement. He always knows that behind the machinery there is a man, a driver. So similarly, the Supreme Lord is the driver under whose direction everything is working. So from here we could understand that Krishna is actually the controller of everything. Is the Supreme Ishvara. He can do whatever he wants to do. So this reminds me, this. Of course, there are many stories in the Krishna book, establishing that Krishna is actually the controller of everything. But especially one story, sticking in my mind, is the story when Lord Krishna, along with Balaram and all the cowherd boys, when they came to Mathura. So when Lord Krishna, came to Mathura, he met many personalities. One, man he met was a washerman. So let's take a look of the story, how Krishna was dealing with the washerman. So while Krishna and Balaram was passing in this way, they saw a washerman and dyer of clothing. Krishna was pleased to ask him for some nice clothing. He also promised that if the washerman would deliver the nicest dyed clothes to him, the washerman would become very happy, and all good fortune would be his. Krishna was not a beggar, nor was he in need of clothing. But by this request, he indicated that everyone should be ready to offer Krishna whatever he wants. That is the meaning of Krishna consciousness. But unfortunately, this washerman was a servant of Kansa, and therefore he could not appreciate the demand of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the effect of bad association. He could have immediately delivered the clothing to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who promised him all good fortune. But being a servant of Kansa, the sinful demon could not accept the offer. Instead, being pleased, instead of being pleased, he was very angry and refused the Lord's request, saying, "How is it that you are asking for clothing which is meant for the king?" The washerman then began to instruct Krishna and Balaram, saying, "My dear boys, in the future, don't be so impudent as to ask for things which belong to the king. Otherwise, you will be punished by the government men. They will arrest you and punish you, and you will be in difficulty. I have practical experience of this fact. Anyone who unlawfully wants to use the king's property is very severely punished." So, the demon, the washerman, he was instructing Krishna like this. And then Krishna Lord Krishna, on hearing this, the son of Devaki, became very angry at the washerman, and striking him with the upper portion of his hand, he separated the man's head from his body. So the washerman fell down dead on the ground. So in this way, Lord Krishna confirmed the statement of the Brahma Samhita that every limb of his body is capable of doing everything he likes. Without a sword, but simply with his hand, he cut off the head of the washerman. This is proof that the Supreme Lord is omnipotent. If he wants to do something, he can do it without extraneous help. And then in the next chapter, it is said here that Krishna, he visited various places in Mathura city with great delight. And seeing the activities and wonderful prowess of Krishna, all the citizens of Mathura began to consider the two brothers to be demigods who had come down to Mathura, and they all looked upon them with great astonishment. The two brothers strolled carefree in the street, not caring for the law and order of Kamsa. So this is really very significant, that Krishna doesn't care at all about the law and order of the king Kamsa. That means he is free to act. If we go to downtown Los Angeles, say we go to a bank and we try to rob the bank, then immediately we will be arrested. Yeah. But Lord Krishna, he was not like that, because he is the supreme controller of everything. Yeah. So that is the proof of that Krishna is, everything is being controlled by the Lord. And there's another nice point in the purport where Srila Prabhupada, he was saying that one who is misuse, one who misuses this opportunity of advanced intelligence is verily condemned and put into different types of miseries, either in this present life or in the future. Because as human beings, we are having higher intelligence. That means we have to use this high intelligence to ask questions like who we are, why we are here in this material world, why we are suffering from repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. Then slowly we can realize actually Lord Krishna is the supreme controller, and the purpose of our human life is to surrender unto Krishna, is to cooperate with Lord Krishna. Not just like, the animals simply engage in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And Prabhupada, he wrote in the purport that if one misuses the opportunity of advanced intelligence, then this person is verily condemned and put into different types of miseries. See, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 16th chapter, actually, Krishna, he tells us those people who are misusing their intelligence, the demons. Let's take a look at the mentality of the demons and their destination. So in the 16th chapter, the divine and the demoniac nature, it is said, those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done, what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. And then Krishna says, following such conclusion, the demoniac who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige, the demoniac, thus illusioned, are always swarmed to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. They believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of life, their anxiety is immeasurable. Bound by a network of hundreds and thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. And then the Lord Krishna continued to describe that the demoniac mentalities. And then at last, Krishna, he says that it's the text number, yeah. Krishna says that attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, O son of Kunti, such person can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. So those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. So that is the destination of those people who are misusing the advanced intelligence, you see. So that's all I want to say. Are there any questions and answers? Questions and comments? Yes. Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, thank you for a very nice class. Certainly you have all the philosophy there and the understandings there so that we can make head or tail of the difference between who Krishna is, what he can do, and who we are, what we can do, and the vast difference between the two, and what happens to one who doesn't recognize that difference and the problems, miseries, and difficulties that one gets when he usurps the position of Krishna,
right,
instead of actually recognizing that he should be the servant of Krishna. So thank you very much for that. But I think, I know I myself, at this point, at this juncture in the story of the Bhagavatam, what we have here is that Yudhishthira has come in looking for his uncle and his aunt, and his other uncle, Vidura. I said, well, the first uncle meaning Dhritarashtra. So my question really is what is all that you've been talking about? What has that got to do with Narada Muni showing up at this point in time? How is he going to help them to find those three? In other words, what is this philosophy that you've given, which is very, very nice and very fulfilling and satisfying? gives us a direction. But what has that got to do with helping Yudhishthir find his aunt and 2 uncles? What is the relationship there? Because that's the problem at this point in time, is it not?
My answer will be that Narada Muni just want to let Maharaj Yudhishthira to know that actually everything is under the control of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So even Yudhishthira Maharaj's uncle or aunt, their presence of disappearance, they are all under the control of control of Lord Krishna. Yeah. So Narada Muni just want Yudhishthira Maharaj to understand that.
Yes.
That's my understanding.
If I can just add one little point to it,
right.
with your permission.
Yes, please, Maharaj.
There's no question about what you have just said. But Narada Muni has come with 2 obvious purposes. Number 1, to enlighten Yudhishthira as to where those 3 people are. Because Yudhishthira is in a quandary. He can't find them.
Right.
And also there is Sanjaya who's there, whom he asks. He can't find them.
Right,
so in other words, to them, they're lost. How to find them? So Narada Muni, who has a little bit of omniscience because he has direct control and contact and communication with the Supreme Lord, is able to know that, and therefore knowing it, he can then reveal it to Yudhishthira and pacify his upset at this point of not being able to find them. Right. That was one thing. And then there was a second thing it appears that Narada Muni has, is to give him some philosophy to pacify the grief and the gloom and the uncertainty that he has as a result of, number 1, being somewhat responsible for this Kurukshetra war, and in which millions of people were killed, and especially the 100 sons of Gandhari and her husband Dhritarashtra. So they're grieving, and Yudhishthira is grieving for them, and grieving for himself because he's responsible for that. So what this philosophy is, Narada is saying, look, all people, they come together as a result of, as you mentioned, the Supreme Lord's will, based upon previous actions, and then they're separated. So why are you so gloomy about this? These things were inevitable. They were in the plan, so to speak. So we have to expect them. Of course, his uncle and aunt, so it's hard to be very philosophical when you have relatives, personal, close relatives involved. We may know the philosophy, but we may not be able to execute it and express it. So that's the problem, and therefore Narada Muni is saying that you have to understand this, that all this was predetermined. This is God's will. So accept it, and don't be so gloomy, and don't be so sad.
Exactly,
because,
yes.
Yeah, this is basically this philosophy that you were giving so nicely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for your wonderful point. Thank you. So we will stop here. Thank you very much for coming. Gantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhaktavinda ki jai. Hari Hari Hari.
Gauranga Prema Das ki.